Hey, this is the Charlie Marks. I am the author of a little self-published book titled, Why Aren't You Married? The title is deceiving. It's not about marriage and the punctuation is not where it should be, but it's perfect just where it is. Lawrence Bossidy said that self-awareness gives us the capacity to learn from our mistakes as well as our success. Ellen DeGeneres tells us all to find out who we are and be that person. That's what your soul was put on this earth to be. You find that truth and everything else will come. The genesis of my book was my own anger. I was sick of all the judgment I received because I was a single parent. If you're interested in the full story, there will be a link below for the book. This channel, Chapter 420, is a chapter of my book where marijuana, a major catalyst in my healing, gave me some much needed laughs. My hope is that you find my stories funny and want to return anytime you need a good laugh. The prior chapter, Chapter 19, skims the surface of an old trauma. My best friend of many years took her own life, and I believe I was the last person to speak with her. I was completely unaware of the amount of shame and guilt I'd been carrying. Shame and guilt have a way of killing, like the death of 1,000 cuts. It's the way a negative change that happens slowly and incrementally goes unnoticed. Part of my history is that I came up during the 1980s crack epidemic and just say no era. I was a nerd and a nobody, so no one was offering me anything. But I knew I didn't want anything to do with any kind of drugs or alcohol, especially marijuana. It wasn't until I was a mother and knee-deep into my career in the health industry when I realized that we were all bamboozled. By now, we all know that war on drugs was complete BS. But my realization began the day I had to give a patient a drug named dronabinol. I'd never heard of the drug, and I had to pull out the massive pharmacy reference book. To my surprise, I was administering marijuana. All I could think of is half my high school has criminal records for this, but because Solvay Pharmaceuticals found a way to put it into a little pill, now it's legal? Over time, I became more and more disillusioned with healthcare and all of its governing agencies. I guess I sat in front of too many people with 3 and 4 comorbidities taking 12 prescriptions with no real improvement in their well-being. I'd always say to myself, we're missing something here. Could these patients be in the midst of PTSD? Are they being re-traumatized in some way that is setting off a series of chemical and biological reactions that is causing at least some of this? Further research led me to the ACEs study, ACE. It stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. In a nutshell, it's an investigative link between childhood maltreatment and well-being later in life. I'll insert the best video of it here. So getting back to me, in my quest to find my purpose and reflect on my life, I sat in front of the mirror and saw myself as a patient. I decided to do what David Goggins calls a live autopsy. An autopsy is what the coroner does to your body after you're dead. The goal is to determine your cause of death. A live autopsy is what you do with your own life. You pull out all the muck and the good stuff too, and you objectively look at it. A live autopsy, when done correctly, gives you an opportunity to change. You create a life that you actually want, and you can go from existing to living. For me, writing is purifying. In writing my book, Why Aren't You Married?, I was able to identify the trees in my life. You know, the things that grew and the seeds that were planted. I had to unpack a lot, and it wasn't easy. Did you know our brains protect us from trauma? It does this by burying the event so deep into our amygdala that we won't remember the event. We only know how certain smells or sounds make us want to retreat. For me, my brain buried a lot, and sometimes I found myself helping it dig the holes. With marijuana, it allowed me to uncover so much more about myself. It was like a strong friend taking me back, holding my hand, and reminding me that I was okay, and I could see my strength in it all. In the book, I refer to marijuana as Cleo, the character from Set It Off, played by Queen Latifah. Why Cleo? Because Cleo is reality. Cleo is the friend that won't lie to you. Cleo took my rose-colored glasses away and gave me sight and real vision. Had it not been for my state legalizing it, I wouldn't have been able to heal past certain pivotal points. If you read the book, I hope it helps you in some way. Whenever I read someone else's story, I can't help but see myself more clearly. I want all of us to see ourselves more clearly. But back to this channel, Chapter 420, The Cannabis Chronicles. Laughter is a great medicine. My favorite memories are of the times I laughed with my family. But this is a warning. Marijuana will allow your brain to make sense of the senseless. On this channel and in that chapter, I will change topics and tone without warning. Think of it like this. We all have a brain, a mind, and a train of thought. If you can for a moment, imagine a red barn in the middle of rolling green hills with mountain peaks just off in the distance. There's a fence around the barn, and there's a horse. The barn is my mind, the fence is my brain, and the horse is my train of thought. Once I start smoking, the horse goes wild. She's jumping and neighing. Then she gets really calm. There's no wind, there's no sound. It's just her and the green grass. She stares at the fence, cocks her head to the side, and begins her gallop toward the fence. And before you know it, she jumps it. She's free. She's running so fast her back legs are in front of her. Her muscles are flexing, hair whipping in the wind, and while running as fast as she can, she turns to you all and very calmly says, "Are you ready for an adventure? That's exactly where we're going." She looks to the mountains and says, "We're going that way. No, wait, this way. Ooh, the trees over there are so green. Is that a butterfly?" Other times she says nothing. Her focus is precise, and she runs straight toward the mountains. Honestly, both times are fun, but lower your expectations of any of this making sense. I hope you return and enjoy more of the Chapter 420 Cannabis Chronicles. Now, where will my train of thought take us today? This is the first installment of the Chapter 420 Cannabis Chronicles. The title is Bruno Mars and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson are the same people. As with every installment, it begins with me smoking weed. I'm watching a video of Bruno, and I connect the fact that he and The Rock are never in the same place at the same time. Now, of course, I don't know this to be a fact, but I've never seen it, so that makes it true. I ask myself why. I immediately deduce they must be the same person. And I ask myself how. I realize that they don't really look alike. But if Bruno were the Hulk, then it makes sense. Now my neurons are releasing their weed-laced neurotransmitters. They're moving fast, yet incredibly slow. Neighboring neurons pick up on what the others are putting down, and this electrical signal gets created. That signal starts flashing green, and green means go. And waves of thousands of weed-laced neurons create this theory in my head. And that theory is beige rage. But Bruno's an island boy. He's laid back, refined, and cool. What would cause him rage? I take a look at his IG page to see that cute face of his. I also see that little line above his lip. And I say to myself, "Aw, he pencils that shit in." Now, every woman that plucked her brows into oblivion in the 90s knows the pain of today when you have to put your brows on in the morning. It's very frustrating. That right one is good by itself, but that left one don't match. Now you gotta start over. It's infuriating. I immediately imagine Bruno backstage, and he's trying to get that stash just right. He's being called to the stage, but he ain't ready. He takes the pencil and he struggles to break it in half. And all of a sudden he's sweating, turning over tables, ripping through the dressing room. He's breaking mirrors. And before he knows it, he's transformed into The Rock. He catches a glimpse of himself in one of the shards from the mirror, and he's like, "Sweet baby Jesus, I am fine." He takes a moment to contemplate and realizes he can capitalize off of this right here. Movies, baby. Will Smith ain't got shit on me. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. And come on back. It won't hurt, I promise.